Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time you're watching this video. It's me again, Teacher Kent, and today we're going to talk about something new. Today, we are going to talk about environmental protection. Again, today, we are talking about environmental protection. Are you ready? Let's start, shall we? Let me just share the screen. There you go. There. Environmental protection. Let me just make my face a little bit bigger. Thank you. And we'll start right now. Natural disasters. Disasters that are made by nature and not man made. They are usually unstoppable and unpredictable. Natural disasters from the word natural or nature. It comes from nature. And disasters are things that are so bad that it affects a specific people or a specific area. So together, natural disasters are things that happen to a large area that is made by nature and not man-made. Take note of that part, not man made. They are usually unstoppable and unpredictable. Well, we can predict some of them, but not 100%. We are still trying to learn more about natural disasters. The first natural disaster is the flood. Flood. Flood, not flood. Okay, it's called a flood. A flood is what happens when an area is hit by a very strong storm that lasts for a couple of hours that will make the area submerged or be covered with water. Look at those cars. Those cars may not run anymore perfectly because of floods. It's very scary. Floods are very scary. And floods are actually more common in Bangkok than they are in Suphanburi, simply because Suphanburi has less rain compared to those in Bangkok. These things are called floods, okay? Floods also kill or drown animals. We some humans also may die from drowning because of a flood. So if ever you are in an area that is flooded, you must go to a place that is secure where you will be able to be safe away from the water. Next natural disaster. Have you ever seen this type of road when you are on a trip with your parents? Usually, these types of roads are caused by what we call an earthquake. Again, these types of roads are caused by what we call as earthquakes. Earthquakes are natural disasters that come from the plates or the land masses slowly moving towards each other, and they come to a point when they're both trying to push up against each other. And when they try to push up, one of them will go above another, or they will go down because of the too much strength from the two of them. This is what we call an earthquake. If you ever see this part of a road, be careful. Just be careful. Let's continue. Next natural disaster. This natural disaster is called a tsunami. Again, this natural disaster is called a tsunami. It is spelled as Tsunami, but you read that as a silent letter T. So you just say it's a tsunami. Now, a tsunami is a Japanese word which means very large wave. A very, very large wave. If you look at this example, there is a big tsunami rampaging over a small village in Japan. Japan is the one that coined the term tsunami because Japan has a lot of history with large waves going over their coast or their seashores. Now, that doesn't mean that tsunamis do not appear also in other places. In fact, there was a time in 2008 or 2009 that there was a tsunami in Phuket. I was still in the Philippines back then, and I heard about it. Because it was such a shocking news because Thailand doesn't get much tsunamis. Usually Japan they get tsunamis but not in Thailand. So what happened? Well, scientists found out that it is because there was a volcano under the ocean. That's right. There are volcanoes under the sea. And when they explode, they push a lot of water upwards, and the water will then go forward. There is a small volcano underneath the sea near the Sea of Phuket, and it caused a tsunami. There is actually a video of that. I think we will watch that video when we have our class on Thursday. Let's continue. Oh, I said before that the tsunami in Phuket was caused by what we call as an underwater volcano. There are underwater volcanoes and there are big above land volcanoes. Now, the tsunami class, as long as we know that an underwater volcano erupted, we can predict where the tsunami will most likely go. However, if we don't know that there is a volcano that erupted under the ocean, we will not be able to be prepared. Thankfully, above water volcanoes or normal volcanoes, they are above water and they don't just erupt normally. Usually before they erupt, they show signs of eruption. How do they show signs of eruption? There is a smoke coming from the top of volcano for a couple of days, very thick smoke. And when that happens, the government will then tell those people who live near those areas to move out of the houses because they might get hurt when the volcano erupts. Let's That's why I said before that usually we cannot predict what will happen, but we can anticipate it. And if you live in an area that has a volcano nearby, you should always be prepared to move. You know, class, when I was still working in the Philippines, I lived in a small island that has five volcanoes. And those people from those islands are always ready to move out of the island when the worst comes to worst, when the five volcanoes will all erupt together. Thankfully, in Thailand, you have little amounts or numbers of volcano. So you can actually be able to save yourself and be prepared. Let's continue. This natural disaster is what we call a hurricane or a storm, a very, very big storm. Now, if you are an astronaut and you are going up in space, when you go down and you look at the Earth, you will see this picture. This picture looks good, right? But what you don't know is that that is a very big storm. That is a very big hurricane. That is a very big monsoon. Monsoons are also another term for those things. If you can see something that big, once it passes through a landmass, in this case, this area, which I think is in Florida in USA, those areas will get a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and a whole lot of rain. But class, look here in the middle. Do you see that one? That small little patch of calm? That is what we call the eye of the storm. And once there is a storm that passes through you, through your house, through your area, suddenly, sometimes it stops. There's no storm. Then after a few hours, it comes back again. That is because if there is a storm and it suddenly stops, you are probably in the eye of the storm. That is the area that is the most safe because it doesn't have strong winds and strong rains. So when let's say you live in this area and the storm passes through you, when the eye of the storm hits your area, you will not have rain for a number of hours. But remember, the eye of the storm will still move. The the whole hurricane or monsoon will still move and you will still pass through this area. I heard I hope you learned something new about that. Finally, we have what we call forest fires. Forest fires. Now, this is actually a pretty common occurrence, or it happens always. In what country? In Thailand. Yes, this picture actually is from a forest fire in Thailand. When you are out camping and you see a lot of smoke, you should be careful. If in fact, if that area tells you that you cannot burn anything, please do not burn anything, especially during the summer, because forest fires burn a whole lot of forests. When the forests are burned, a lot of animals get burned too. A lot of animals will lose their homes. And even people who got lost in the fire will most probably get hurt too. And Thailand, because Thailand is very, very hot, especially during the summer, there is a big chance that there are forest fires that are going to be formed in the mountains of Thailand. So those are natural disasters. Now, let's talk about man made disasters. Disasters that are made by man or caused by human activities. We can try to control it though. That's the good thing. We can actually try to control it. The first natural disaster is, again, the same thing, floods. This is a village near China. It was completely flooded. Do you know? Because of a large number of rains on that area. Now, there is a city in Thailand that has a lot of floods when it rains. Do you know what city I'm talking about? I'm talking about Bangkok. Bangkok actually gets flooded very easily. You know why? Because a lot of people live there. Yes, a lot of people live there. Now, what do I mean by that? There are, first is when people live in an area, they need roads, right? And roads that are made by, that have pavement. Pavement does not absorb rain or water. Han, maklaro ka. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Pavement does not absorb rain or water. Now, what else? Hmm, a lot of people live in a city means there are a lot of garbage. And if the garbage will go down into the sewers are what people use to help stop the rain or the flood during rains. But people sometimes, those lazy people, will throw the garbage anywhere. That's why you should never throw garbage anywhere except towards the bin. Okay? Because if you throw it towards anywhere, it might end up in a sewer and it might cause flooding. Another thing why floods are common, not just in Bangkok but all over Thailand, is that people cut down trees. We use trees to make a lot of things, papers and what we call furnitures. Yes, we use those things. And what living thing can drink a lot of water and hold a lot of land? Trees. Trees that we cut to make some things will not be able to then hold a lot of water when the rain comes. That's why its flood is both a man-made and a human-made disaster. But actually, there are some more man-made and natural disasters that are the same because of humans or our activities. Let's continue. Remember what I said when we use a lot of paper and wood for our furniture? It's these things. This is called deforestation. Deforestation, or when we cut down a whole lot of trees. Look at that. That's such a big land area, class. They cut down a whole lot of trees to use those areas. And what happens? Animals die. Animals lose their homes because some of those animals live on top of trees, like what I said, like the bats and the monkeys. That's why another man made disaster is poaching or endangerment of animals. We actually make animals l- decrease in number. We make animals become endangered because we use a lot of trees, a lot of plants, I mean. We cut down a lot of trees. We make a lot of furnitures. We make a lot of papers. That's why we kill a lot of animals because for some animals, those trees, those are their homes. Look at this rhino. It is killed by what we call poaching. Some people, I don't know why, I don't know what puts their thought into their brains, but they like to kill animals that are helpless. They like to kill rhinos just because some people like to cut the horns of a rhino. That's not good, class. When you grow up and you become a member of society, please do not follow those people. Those people do not care if they kill all the animals just so they can do whatever they want. That's why we are studying environmental protection. We need to protect our environment because for now, class, there is only one earth. There is only one place we live in. What happens when there are no more trees to cut all over the world? All humans will die because no tree will make oxygen. A lot of animals, if not all of the animals, will die too because they have no more homes or places to get food. That's why we are studying environmental protection. Or we will study next meeting on Thursday. Now that is where I will stop my video for now. And I hope you learned something. And don't worry, I will discuss this again next time. Goodbye. Stay safe.